Good morning. So let's talk about my audio setup. I've had a lot of questions about how I get this particular sound. This is the same sound that I use on like all of my Zoom calls, any sort of video conferencing, also for recording things like, a short loom. So as an answer to a bunch of questions I've gotten and a bunch of other detail that goes way beyond those questions, this is my audio setup. So let's start. We'll start with the microphone, and we'll walk all the way down through all of the hardware until we get to the actual recording side of things. We'll go through all of the software, and then I'll show you how I connect that up into actual Zoom calls. So starting with the microphone, this is the Shure SM7B. It is a capsule. The actual microphone capsule is very similar and actually based on the Shure SM58, which is like the iconic microphone you'll see everyone using on like a stage anywhere. It's super classic vocal mic, works very well. This microphone is based on that capsule, but has an added resonance chamber, which is going to give a lot more of that classic warm, podcast sound. And there have been some small modifications made to the SM58 capsule to build the SM7B, which helps with that sound as well. So that is the microphone. Moving on to this stand. This is the Rode. I forget what the exact model number is. I'll put it in the description. One of the things that you want out of a stand is the ability to, or a arm is the ability to obviously hold the mic in a position, but also be able to move this around without horrible screeching noises and without the mic drifting, which this does excellently. I have so the mic connects with just a XLR cable. That XLR cable is not going to plug into the computer directly. And with this particular microphone, it does record fairly quietly. So it does need quite a bit of what's called clean gain to get this signal straight from the mic loud enough to record well in the computer. So this cable runs underneath my desk into the preamp over on this side. So from the mic and boom, the cable runs under my desk and up to the preamp. The preamp has a input and output, which are both XLR cables, which I'll get to in just a second. So this preamp is a Neve 1073 clone called the Golden Age Project Pre-73 Junior. So the Neve 1073 was a preamp and EQ module that was part of the A88 broadcast audio console. That preamp was never meant to be a standalone product, but it was absolutely phenomenal and gave a incredible sound. And even today, that same fully analog preamp circuit shows up in a lot of Neve 1073 clones. So this is a Pre-73 Junior by the Golden Age Project, and it is just a single channel preamp that was found in the full Neve 1073 module. This being a fully analog preamp lets you dial up the pre-preamp gain all the way up to 70 decibels of clean gain, which is going to give a slight analog saturation, which is going to give a nice warm, classic radio-ish sound. And then you can use the output trim here to dial the final output volume so that you don't clip things like the audio interface, such as I have here. The preamp has a XLR input and output, as I showed. And so this is not meant to input sound into a digital source like a computer. it just changes the level of a XLR signal, of a analog XLR signal. This is the Focusrite Scarlett Solo, one of the most common audio interfaces out there. It does have a pretty clean input gain, which I have set all the way down to 0. You could theoretically just use this, but I do like the subtle sound improvement that this particular preamp gives. This device here has the sole job of taking the analog signal from the output of the preamp and converting it into a digital signal, which can be picked up by the computer. So this has a USB port on the back, which then plugs into my USB hub, which then plugs into my MacBook here. So on the software side of things, the Scarlett Solo is going to show up as just a microphone. So you would be able to use, if you want to use that for like a Zoom call or whatnot, you can just select the Scarlett Solo as the mic you want to use. The challenge with that is it sounds a little bit flatter than what I sound like right now. So I am currently using some audio post-processing to get this warm, rich sound. This right here is the just raw sound from the combination of the preamp and the audio interface. And if I want this sound right here, there are a few software tools which I use in real time to get that sound. The first of which is something called Audio Hijack. What this is going to do is provide a real-time pipeline for applying effects and custom outputs for a particular mic. It can do a lot. This is what I'm using it for right now. So I have a pipeline which starts with the Scarlett Solo mic. Because it is only a mono, the mic only comes in on one channel. I have both the left and right channel set to channel 1, so that it makes a faux stereo mic. This is a denoise process here, which is going to cut out like some of the fans and AC that might show up in my room. Then we feed this through a graphic EQ, which is going to boost the bass a little bit and drop out the mids, which is typically over sensitive in most mics, including the SM7B. This meter is going to, here is the actual EQ settings that I use. Feel free to steal these if you would like. And then it goes through this meter here, which is also going to show up in my whatever this bar here is called, so that I can see that in real time. I use this output to then know where to set the trim level on the preamp. And then last, I output this to this thing called a virtual mic. These outputs could be really anything. If you want to just record sound happening, this could be a file. I am using this virtual mic. What that virtual mic is this thing configured by another program called Loopback. Loopback is provides virtual input and virtual output devices. So what this does is has this pass-through. This is going to show up as a speaker or an output for other devices, so I can play to this if I want. What I'm doing is just plumbing this straight through to two output channels. These output channels are going to show up as microphones to other programs such as Zoom or QuickTime or Loom or so on. So with the combination of Audio Hijack and Loopback, the Audio Hijack session is going to output to my virtual mic. And then I am going to be able to I am going to be able to use Virtual Mic as the input for other programs. So you'll see this Virtual Mic here. That's what that is. All right, so that's the hardware, the software of the setup so far to get this particular sound. The only other piece of equipment that I would like to point out is these audio panels behind me. I picked them up off Amazon. It's a wooden frame with a dense mineral wool internally, covered in fabric, so it looks fairly nice. So it makes the space look nice, but also cuts down on the natural resonance of this room. So this room I'm in, thankful to have an office with a door that shuts, but it's a square box. I do have a carpeted floor, which is nice, but there are a lot of walls which just have a natural resonance. This cuts down on that and gets a lot purer sound just in the mic here, so that it's easier to control that sound through the rest of the pipeline that I've shown. And that's my audio setup. One thing to note here is that everything you've been hearing this entire time is just the sound of the setup I have shown. The only audio editing I've done post-process has been to normalize the loudness between clips so that the volume is consistent throughout this video, and that it is also relatively consistent between other things that you'll watch on things like YouTube. Yeah, I will have the list of all of the components I have in the description, along with some pricing. I don't make any money off that. I just want to help folks who want to steal my sound to be able to do so. That's it. Hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you next time.